Hi, welcome back to the listening window. Today's story is called The House That Waited. This story is designed to help you with your English listening and speaking practice. You'll hear real, everyday English with natural expressions, an emotional plot, and a surprising twist. If you want the full script, vocabulary list, quiz, and bonus speaking prompt to practice more, you can find them through the link in the description below. Now, sit back, relax, and let's begin. I always thought I knew my family's story. We were simple people. My parents ran a small bakery. My grandparents had lived in the same little brick house in the suburbs for as long as anyone could remember. Everything seemed ordinary, safe, predictable. It wasn't until after my grandmother passed away that I realized how many secrets had been tucked away inside those old brick walls. It happened on a soft, gray morning. The kind where the world feels heavy and the air smells like rain before it even falls. I was standing in my grandmother's living room, boxes piled around me, sorting through the last of her things. There was one box I hadn't dared to open yet. It sat at the back of the closet, covered in a faded quilt. For some reason, even just looking at it gave me a chill. When I finally pulled back the quilt, I found a leather-bound journal tied with a thin blue ribbon. Tucked between its pages was an old black and white photo of a house. Not this house, a different one. A two-story Victorian with a wraparound porch, standing alone in a field of tall grass. On the back of the photo, written in my grandmother's delicate handwriting, were the words, "The House That Waited." I stared at it for a long time. Waited for what? For who? My heart pounded. I had to know. That night, after hours flipping through the journal, piecing together fragments of letters and notes, I learned that my grandmother had once been engaged to someone before my grandfather, a man named Daniel. They were supposed to buy that house together, build a life, start a family. But Daniel had been drafted into the war. He promised he'd come back. He made her promise to wait, and she did, for years, until the day a letter arrived and signed, saying simply, "Don't wait for me. Live your life." No explanation. No goodbye. My grandmother, broken-hearted, eventually married my grandfather, moved into the brick house I had always known, and never spoke of Daniel again. But there was more. Tucked into the last pages of the journal was a map. A hand-drawn map leading to the house in the photo. I sat up all night thinking about it. By morning, the decision was made. I had to find it. The journey took most of the day. Miles of empty road stretched between sleepy towns and fields of wheat that rippled like gold under the wind. Finally, I turned down a narrow, unmarked road that looked more like a driveway. The end of it, there it was. The house. It still stood, faded and tired, but standing, paint peeled from the porch railings. Shutters hung crooked on their hinges. It was beautiful in the saddest way. The front door creaked open when I pushed it, and I stepped inside. Dust floated in thick beams of light. The air smelled like old wood and memories. On a cracked kitchen counter, I found something strange. A letter, yellowed with age, Propped up against an empty glass, it was addressed to my grandmother, but it hadn't been mailed. With trembling hands, I unfolded it. "My dearest Lila," it began, "if you're reading this, then somehow, against every odd, you found your way back to me. I was young and foolish when I wrote you that terrible letter. Fear had gripped me, fear that the war had broken me into someone you wouldn't recognize, someone who didn't deserve you. I couldn't bear the thought of hurting you, so I told you to forget me. But I never forgot you, not for a single day. This house, our house, has waited. I have waited, and I will wait for as long as it takes." It was signed, Daniel. I sank to the floor, tears burning my eyes. Daniel had never stopped loving her. He had built the house anyway. He had lived there, waiting, hoping, maybe even believing that someday she would come. But she never knew, she never came. I stayed there for hours, sitting on the dusty floor, feeling the weight of all the years between them. As the sun dipped low and bathed the house in golden light, I made a decision. This story, their story, couldn't end with silence. The house deserved laughter again. Music, life. I would fix it. I would live in it, not to erase the past, but to honor it. Weeks later, after I had started the slow process of cleaning and repairing, I found one final letter hidden behind a loose board in the living room. It was addressed simply, "To the one who finds this house. Welcome home," it said. I smiled through fresh tears. The house had waited, and now it had finally been found. Thank you for listening to today's story on the listening window. Don't forget, if you want to practice more, you can download the full script, vocabulary list, quiz, answer key, and a bonus speaking prompt through the link in the description below. And if you want, you can even comment below. If you found a house that had waited for you, what would you do? I can't wait to hear your stories. See you next time.